Making 28 tackles in a Rugby World Cup final, that's legendary. Winning a World Rugby Player of the Year, that makes you an elite athlete. But winning it twice, years apart, puts you in a class of your own. And doing it after doctors told you they might have to amputate your leg, well, that makes you tougher than steel. This is the incredible story of how a quiet farmer's son stared down a career-ending disaster and fought his way back to become the undisputed best flanker on the planet. This is the story of Pieter-Steph du Toit. Our story doesn't begin under stadium floodlights, but in the sun-baked fields of Riebeek-Kasteel in the Western Cape. Here on the family farm, a young Peter Steph learned the lesson that would define his entire career. You work hard, you stay humble, and you get the job done. No excuses. It was the mindset that built the unbelievable engine and unbreakable will that rugby fans would one day see on the world's biggest stage. But it wasn't just farming in his blood. Rugby was his birthright. His grandfather, Pieter du Toit, that's Afrikaans for muscle, was a legendary Springbok prop in the 1950s, a cornerstone of the national team known for his immense strength. Peter Steph grew up seeing the legacy not as a weight on his shoulder, but something to strive for. He once says, I derived a lot of inspiration from the fact that he had been a Springbok, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. In a story that sounds like straight out of a movie, Peter Steph and his brother Johan even found their granddad's old leather boots and played in them until they fell to pieces. Talk about literally walking in a giant's footsteps. This upbringing created a rare combination, a man with a towering 2-meter frame of a giant, but with a quiet, humble nature of someone who let his actions speak for him. The steel was being forged. It didn't take long for the rugby world to spot the kid from Swartland. After starting for the Junior Springboks, the team that won the 2012 World Championship, his career took off like a rocket. He made his Springbok debut in 2013 in Cardiff, the very same city where his grandfather had battled Wales more than 50 years earlier. Coaches initially played him at lock, but his raw athleticism was off the charts. He had the height for the lineouts, but he ran with the speed and stamina of a flanker. They saw the potential of a new breed of player, a physical monster who could dominate every part of the game. But his path was never easy. His powerful frame seemed to be a magnet for trouble. In 2014, he tore his ACL. The next year, in a cruel twist, he tore the exact ligament again. These are the kind of injuries that end careers, but in an unbelievable act of family dedication, his own father donated a tendon from his hamstring for the surgery that would save his son's career. That act of love and sacrifice allowed Peter Steph to fight his way back into the 2015 World Cup squad. He had faced down serious adversity and proved he could come back, but the universe wasn't done with him yet. His greatest trial was still to come. February 29th, 2020, a normal Super Rugby game in Cape Town. Peter Steph took a hard knock to his thigh. It's a common injury, a dead leg. He played on, but after a second hit, he knew something was seriously wrong. He left the field, and in the minutes that followed, a nightmare began to unfold. He told the team doctor that he couldn't feel his leg anymore. That sent alarm bells ringing. He was rushed to the hospital and diagnosed with an acute compartment syndrome, a massive bleed inside the muscle that was swelling so fast it was cutting off blood flow to his lower leg. The condition is incredibly dangerous and so rare in athletes that at the time only a handful of similar cases have ever been documented in medical literature. The diagnosis was terrifying. Doctors told him he was just hours away from potentially needing his leg amputated. Stormers coach John Dobson said, Doctors' quick thinking flat out saved the toy from a life-altering disaster. The pain was off the charts. Du Toit later recalled, I couldn't bear the pain. They put me on very strong medication, but it did not take the pain away. I just wanted someone to do something to take it away. He was wheeled into emergency surgery, where the doctors made a 40-centimeter incision from his hip to his knee to relieve the pressure. The damage was so bad that some nerves in the muscles weren't responding, and the swelling meant they couldn't close the wound for 10 days. This was crucible. His 2019 World Rugby Player of the Year award meant nothing. His World Cup medal meant nothing. In that hospital bed, it was a man fighting to save his leg. The road back was brutal and lonely, made even harder by the global pandemic lockdown. Stuck on the family farm, he lost nearly 10 kilograms of muscle from his leg. He literally had to learn to walk again before he could ever think about running. When he flexed his leg, he could see a visible hole where the muscle had been. But this is where the farmer's son mentality kicked in, the discipline, the quiet grit, the absolute refusal to quit. Looking back, he said, being able to be back on the field following an injury like this is a blessing. During the long period I was out of the game, I learned about life, about myself. It was a good thing for me, I think. After 398 days, nearly 14 months after the injury, he finally returned. In his first game back, an early red card meant he wasn't eased in. He had to play the full 80 minutes. The next week, he played another full 80 minutes. It was almost superhuman feature of endurance. His coach, John Dobson, could only call him a freak of nature. He wasn't just back, he was on a mission. His comeback reached its peak at the 2023 World Cup in France. Now playing almost exclusively as a flanker, the position perfectly harnessed his insane blend of size, speed, and limitless gas tank. His influence was immense in all three knockout games, each won by a single point. In the quarterfinal, his immense performance was crucial in the chaotic 29-28 victory over the host France. In the bruising semi-final against England, the team was struggling. Reports later revealed it was the Toit's simple, powerful words at halftime about the need to fight that helped galvanize the team for their narrow comeback win. The final against the arch-rival All Blacks was his Mona Lisa in one of the greatest individual performances in a Rugby World Cup final. Pieter-Steph du Toit became a human tackling machine. He was everywhere, specifically targeting the All Blacks' powerful inside centre, Jordie Barrett, bringing him down 9 disruptive times to shut down the New Zealand attack. When the whistle blew and the Springboks were champions for a record fourth time, that stat sheet was almost unbelievable. 28 tackles. It was a staggering display of pure grit that broke records and rightfully earned the man of the match. It was the perfect ending to an impossible comeback story. The man who almost lost his leg once again on top of the world. The story wasn't over. In October 2023, the rugby world made it official. Pieter-Steph du Toit was named World Rugby Player of the Year for a second time. The decision was a testament to his monumental impact. It wasn't just about the final, it was about his relentless work rate throughout the tournament that selectors recognized. His 28 tackles in the final smashed the previous record for a World Cup final, which was 18. But beyond that single game, he was the defensive cornerstone for the champions, a player who, in the biggest moments, also stepped out to become the primary target in a struggling lineup, showing his value on both sides of the ball. He became the first South African to ever win the award twice, joining a legendary list that includes Dan Carter, Richie McCaw, and Beauden Barrett as one of only 4 men to have ever won the award more than once. He hadn't just come back, he was better than ever. So how do you measure a player like Pieter-Steph du Toit? You can look at the World Cup medals. You can count the ridiculous tackle stats. But those things only tell part of the story. His real legacy is defined by the scars, both the ones you can see and the ones you can't. It is the story of a quiet farm boy who faced a catastrophe that would have ended almost anyone else's career. He didn't flinch. The boy who wanted to walk in his grandfather's footsteps ended up carving out his own pathway, proving that when everything was on the line, he was quite literally tougher than steel. If you're inspired by the story of Pieter-Steph du Toit, show your support by liking the video and subscribing for more stories from the world of rugby.